Yes, welcome everyone here to the Smash Evening Show right here on Smash FM here on a Tuesday here in Melbourne. Of course, let's go to our friends over in the US and, of course, talk to a music artist slash DJ, of course, herself. Of course, she's, of course, come to us from Tampa, Florida. Of course, her name is Lizzy Jane. She joins us from Tampa. Thanks, Lizzy, for joining us.
Hey guys, what's up? Of course, always happy to be here.
No worries. Well, tell us, obviously, pretty difficult times at the moment over there in so many ways.
Oh, yeah.
But tell us, what have you sort of been doing to sort of, sort of still keep going with what you love doing with the DJing and the music side of things?
So this pertaining mostly to when COVID started to come into the picture. It's very much so. I've looked at it as kind of like this is an opportunity to adapt and kind of get ahead or perform in front of new demographics or put something like streaming on the front of your platform as a way to grow your brand and your music and your reach, or you don't and you risk the potential of disappearing, which I've seen with some very middle tier to smaller artists, because this is the way it's been for a few months. And I think especially with what has recently happened in the next week, our phase 2 in select states, which would have allowed venues to open at 50% capacity, venues and bars, is unfortunately going to be pushed off indefinitely from what my understanding is. So really the only way to connect with your audience is via Twitch, via YouTube, still on regular social media platforms, but Twitch has given me personally the opportunity to really connect with my fans and get myself across to some new people who didn't even know I existed via DJ sets or production streams or feedback demos. And it's allowed me to, really let people know that I'm educated a little bit under the hood of how to make music and how my creative thought process is. And it's really cool. And I've met some people who obviously were not my fans before this, and now I see them in every stream. Now I see them supporting over and over again. Every time I go live, they're in there. They donate, they do whatever, they share it with their friends, and all of that adds up. So it's really cool. I would like to think my team and I have taken this time and we've really moved forward instead of stayed neutral or fallen behind.
Now, of course, so you did I think a live stream one, like combined with so many other DJs. I think it was about a couple of weeks ago now, including obviously one of our favorite artists, other than yourself. Of course, Sarah Benya, who just moved to Tampa. Obviously, she's still back in Nashville at the moment. But tell us a bit about that.
It was via Girl Gang, and it's an awesome collective of women and female producers primarily, and I released a song with them on their compilation in March for International Women's Day, which is super cool. The song did extremely well. Everybody on the compilation, it is super, super awesome, and just sending a very positive message that, there are females out here who do know what they're talking about, who are making an effort solely as an individual artist to produce their own music, to send a positive message. And doing the live stream for them on their Twitch channel was super, super awesome. I've had the opportunity to do live streams with Girl Gang, live streams with Electric Hawk, EDC for Discovery Project, Groove Cruise, and we have some more really cool ones coming up throughout the summer.
Now, of course, I'll just mention about one of our favourite artists, which is Sarah Benya, which you obviously are good friends with, as well as her partner in Johnny Grande. Tell us a bit about, I guess, the relationship between you and, of course, and Sarah.
So Sarah and I were introduced to each other the first time her boyfriend is on a management team. I believe it's 2+4. It's Hero Bus Management Team. Spaghead, he's on there. A great roster of artists. He was booked in Tampa to come and play, and I was playing on the same bill as the show as him, and that's when I met him and his girlfriend, and they were discussing moving down here, and then I found out that his girlfriend was a singer, and it was really cool. They're very, very nice, genuine people, which you very hardly, unfortunately, meet throughout this industry. And ever since then, we've stayed very connected. Now they live, 20 minutes from me. Johnny was an audio engineer before going into strictly production. So he helps run a studio, and it's really cool. They're really good people, and I'm excited to see where their career goes into. I know Sarah was primarily a vocalist, and now she's getting more into DJing and producing. So I'm always there when she has questions, and it's cool. I'm really excited to see where she takes her pathing, because I know right now she's experimenting in different genres. And yeah.
Now, for you, being a DJ, obviously you would love to be, out there especially the nightclubs and all that
Oh
around
yeah,
Tampa.
I miss it. Yeah.
I guess, obviously just pretty much answer my next question about do you miss it?
Yeah.
So my next question after that was going to be, I guess, how special will it be to, hopefully once the restrictions ease a bit more over there in Tampa to, what will be your first reaction to walk into a nightclub, do something that you love doing?
Oh, I'm so excited. I'll never dread like a flight or waking up early or anything ever again. We are all very, very privileged to do what we do. And I think nobody really realized that until we were told we couldn't do it anymore. And I hold a residency right now. Well, not obviously right now, but I've held a residency in Tampa on Fridays at the Ritz Ybor. It's debatably one of the biggest clubs for bass music and electronic music across the East Coast of the United States. And I do that, and then I travel, and I usually am booked Thursday and Saturday elsewhere. And I just miss it so much. And I think it's very cool because when they open up nightlife and bars and clubs again at 50% capacity, as from a talent buyer perspective, their budgets are down because they can't sell, they can't sell out, they can't do this, they can't do that. And that allows for people at my level who, they have a booking fee of X number to X number that isn't hugely, enormous. I'm not 20 grand for an hour, not the numbers that, regular headliners hit. And it allows me to go to places now and give an intimate club setting and therefore extend relationships with or start relationships with certain talent buyers and event companies through this to come back after I fit their initial booking fee, their booking budget. And we've seen a lot of those offers starting to come in as states are starting and preparing to open up. So I'm really excited for that. I just want to perform more than anything. But I think this is going to allow me to go a few places I haven't gone before. And that's exciting.
Now, other than being down there in Tampa, and obviously that's definitely one of the places I will definitely be making sure I get down to when I go back to the US. Is there any other places in the US that you would love to, do what you love doing?
So my favorite places that I've played thus far are definitely New York. I played Webster Hall, and then I played Szymanski's, Szymanski's was just one of my favorite venues because it's a huge venue, but it's very intimate. And then Webster Hall is extremely historic. So I was playing in New York and at Terminal 5 was very, very cool to me. It's super surreal. Can't wait to play it again. That's probably the place I've played mostly out of Florida. I love the Ritz, hands down. I would love to play Denver, and I've played in California 2 or 3 times, but I would love to go back to Los Angeles and play a place like Academy or play a place like the Palladium. And that's a little bit more down the years in my career path to headline at a place like that. But that's very ideal for something I would love to do in the future of when this comes back to normal.
Now, obviously, the Music City, Nashville, Tennessee. Is that something you want to perform at as well?
So it's really weird because I was never into EDM until I started producing EDM. And there were a select few artists who I'd seen before, like R.L. Grime and like Skrillex and the people who were the game changers to me. I was like, okay, maybe I can give this a chance. But prior to me getting involved in EDM, I was a singer-songwriter and I did audio engineering for metal bands, and I was in a metal band myself. So at that point in time, we had played in Nashville, Tennessee. And I mean, Nashville, Tennessee, it used to be LA where all the big recording studios were and all that stuff. And now it's Nashville. So it's very, very cool to look at the development of Nashville from a standpoint of it's always been like the home of country music, but now it's kind of the home of most multi-genre, you know, places of music, like pop music, rock music, metal music. It's all in Nashville, which is super cool. However, from my understanding, they don't have a huge EDM scene yet. It's growing, but it's not like huge. But of course, I would love to go play in Nashville. I know the places that Johnny used to play, the Disco Donnie would throw events, one of the big event hubs in the United States. Super, super cool. And I would love to play like every venue everywhere, because I think venues are so special because they're so unique and they're so different. And it's like, okay, if you've seen this venue, you haven't seen any other venue. So it's not like you're walking into a McDonald's and everyone looks the same. So when I get to go to Nashville, I will be very excited.
Now, of course, I have to ask. Now, obviously, our Australian listeners are dying to know, are you going to be hopefully wanting to come down to Australia to perform?
Oh my God, yes. I cannot wait. I actually just got my passport 6 months ago, and I recently signed with an agency. So they're doing as much work as they can during this time to start solidifying bookings. But like, I believe solely, confidently, as long as we get back to normal by 2021, by 2023, I will have played in Australia. And I like to set like longer marks than I think will actually take. I think before 2023, I'll play in Australia and I'll play in Europe. But that's my goal. By 2023, I would love to go over to Australia, play at like Chinese Laundry, play at some of those historic venues that are just really, really cool. I look at Australia and it's like amazing artists come out of Europe, but mostly besides American artists in like the United States kind of festival market and all of that stuff, the most artists you see from outside of the United States are from Australia. I mean, you see Flume, you see Alice in Wonderland, you have Quicks, you have so many people. So it would be very fun to go to a place that so many, you know, iconic producers have come out of and play there.
Now, for you, how did you get involved in the music scene, and why did you choose it?
So I've been in music for like a long time. Like 3 years old, my mom had me playing piano. I was classically trained in piano. I grew up dancing ballet and doing theater and doing music lessons. And then when I was 16, my dad was like, okay, you need to choose. And I was like, okay, well, I choose music. So from then on, I started a band, and my junior year in high school, my mother went with me, and I was in a band with all studio musicians where I would write the music, they would play it except for the drummer, and we went on tour with a band called Rookie of the Year, which is, they're like a punk pop kind of alternative rock band, and we did that for 6 months, and that was my junior year of high school, and that was super, super cool, and we continued on doing it till when I graduated high school. And then I took a break, and I was like, oh, well, you have to grow up, like, you can't do this forever, da-da-da. And I went to George Washington University. I went there for a year. I studied politics. My major was international relations with concentration in Russian. I don't know what the hell I was thinking. It was a terrible decision. And then I transferred to a school in Orlando that was more of a trade school, and I got my degree in audio engineering, and the concentration there was in Foley sound. So that was a 20-month degree. So I got my degree when I was 21. I'm 23 now, and right at the end of me getting my degree, I played my first show. I wasn't producing music. I was just like, this is cool, DJing's cool, da da da. And I had an internship with Pixar for Foley sound, and Foley sound is like the sound you hear in like bones cracking in movies and whatever. And that's a Foley design artist. And that's what I was interning to do. And I still work with them briefly, but not as much as I used to. It's a great thing to have on the back end, because long-term I would love to score for video games and film. But I started doing the DJ thing, and I was like, oh, this is cool, da, da, da. And like within 2 months, I was like, I want to play my own songs. Like, I want to do this. And I was like, if I have all of this musical training, all I have to do is learn the language of Ableton. And I was like, you almost learned Russian in a year, so you can do it. Like, you can do it. So I picked up Ableton, and it was a very interesting transition going from somebody who could classically score to producing to, okay, da da da. And it wasn't ever the composition that I had problems with. It was more the post-processing and the mixing and all of the stuff that you do to the sound after it's created. Because when you're playing live instruments, you're like, oh, this is the live instruments. You send it to a mix and master on, engineer, and they clean it up. They EQ everything. They do what they need to do, and then they hand it back to you, and that's it. But stepping into the shoes of a producer, you kind of have to play all three roles. You have to play the composer, you have to play the mixer engineer, and you have to play the master engineer. I still outsource my tracks if they're like a lot of the tracks that are on labels that are coming out this summer. Cross my fingers with everything going on because a lot of things are getting delayed right now. Those are mastered by their labels, mastering engineers. But to that point of them getting mastered, I do everything on my own terms. And it's been an amazing learning experience. And the primary reason why I went into this subgenre of music, into EDM and specifically bass music, was because, one, I was like, okay, you're 21 years old. What are you spending all your money on? I'm spending my money on going to raves and going to watch music. And there's no reason, as somebody who's performed their whole life, that I can't do that. So that's why I started performing. And two, until 6 months ago, I did everything on my own. It was like, you're the one in charge of your own destiny. You don't have to rely on band members. You don't have to rely on shitty people. You don't have to do that. Da, da, da. You just need to sit down and make your music, and you're smart about branding. You're smart about marketing. You're not stupid. You know how to make social media posts, and just do it consistently. And that's what I did. And then I kind of had a rude awakening about 6 months ago that just because you're an independent artist doesn't mean you can't have a team, or you don't have to have a team. So I started working with a wonderful management team. And then about 3 or 4 months ago, I started working with an agency. So now we're kind of slowly building our team. I always had like a videographer who would go with me and all of that stuff. But they, those were friends who were really talented at what they did, and they believed in my project. And now it's like, okay, well, now you have these strangers who believe in you. And now you have these people connecting you with these other artists to do collabs and do features. And that's their job. And that's the part of the team that I was missing. And that's why I'm really, really excited for the summer, because the summer is the first batch of music I'm releasing since I've been working with the team and not just on my own. And it's just so, so exciting to see a lot of things come together, to see me release on a lot of labels that I could have dreamed of releasing, to see me work with a lot of artists that I never thought I would work with. So it's cool. It's been quite the learning experience, and I still learn. I mean, I'm part of societies where I send my tracks into people, send my tracks into my friends for them to tell me it sounds like shit and for me to get better. So like I'll always do that, because I think like a huge importance is, to have an understanding that you can always keep learning. Like, it doesn't matter how amazing you are. I guarantee you Flume's still learning. Alice in Wonderland's still learning. They're still picking up new techniques and new things to hone their craft. And like, that's something that I think is really cool. And as long as you keep that attitude, you can go as far as you want to go.
Now, what will be some highlights about your music/DJing journey?
Okay. So definitely playing my first festival, which was Sunset Music Fest 2019, last year, was my first festival on like a big stage, like not as a local artist, like, okay, you're on the big stage, da, da, da. And that I was still regional support for, but I was placed as the opening artist on the stage, Subtronics and Seven Lions and all them played on. Really, really cool experience. Da, da, da. Cool. I loved having my residency and still have my residency, because it, I think, sped up the process that normally is expedited in somebody's career as a producer or a DJ by probably 3 years. It took me and it threw me in front of a huge crowd of people every week, and it let me become very seasoned at being a good DJ. And that's very important. It's important. It's important to be an amazing producer. It's important to be a good DJ too. And there's very few artists that can do both. You have people who are phenomenal producers, but all their sets sound the same. And then you have phenomenal people who are DJs, but they don't make their own music. So the goal is to be both. And I love, like, I sing throughout my sets now, and I have a whole live show done with my keyboard and MIDI mapping and such like that. So I'm very excited to roll that out as well. So residency was a really cool thing that really kind of like whipped me into shape from nothing. And then playing Webster Hall was cool. Playing some venues that like I'd gone to as a kid or with my mother when we would travel, super cool, because I've always been into live music. So I would be the one who was 14 years old who was in the crowd and their mom was upstairs on the balcony. That was like our thing. It was never sporting events. It was, okay, mom, like, I'll tell you when I'm done. Like, let's go. And she'd go into the show with me, and I'd go downstairs by myself, and she'd watch me the whole time from the balcony. And it was just, it's cool. It's cool, like, going back. I love traveling for what I do. I haven't done it a huge percentage, and it was just kind of starting to pick up. I had a few dates with Black Tiger Sex Machine. I had a few dates with Snails, and those are what I'm very, very excited for, to start doing smaller tour runs of like 5 to 10 cities, and then eventually become part of a tour, and then eventually move your way up the bill. So that, you know, that's exciting and a highlight. And then from the music standpoint, my first label release was really cool. My first label release was on Night Engine, which is a very awesome, growing EDM label, super positive message. They're out of Detroit, Michigan. And then my first big label release was on Cannibal this past December for their Christmas compilation. And that was a really cool moment too. That was like, okay, da-da-da, sweet, cool, here. And then this summer, I have songs coming out on 3 labels that I've like always dreamed of releasing on. And then all 3 songs I'm singing on too. So that's something that I'm really looking forward to, is the fact that all of my new music has my voice on it. So, yeah.
Now, considering, you know, what we've all gone through now with this COVID situation,
Yeah.
pandemic, have you had a chance to sort of reassess your short and long-term goals? And if so, what are they now?
Okay, so definitely. I honestly think that, I mean, God forbid I've lost my income. I can't even get my unemployment yet. I sent in my unemployment application March 23rd, and I think we just got approved today. I just got approved to start applying for weeks today. So I've had no source of income besides teaching lessons for about three and a half months. So it's been a nightmare. However, on the other side of that, it's kind of been a blessing in disguise for my music, as I've had more time to not only focus on my music. I wrapped up my EP. I've worked with artists, not only vocal wise, but collaboration wise or collaborative wise, that I would have never been connected with if it wasn't for this. And I've learned new mixing techniques, and I've done Zoom sessions with awesome producers who I've just learned from. And like, if I was living my day-to-day life, if my gym was open, if I was playing shows, if I was traveling, none of that would have ever happened. So I look at it as trying to have a positive outlook, which I do try to have in everything. And right now, it's all about the music, especially with right now with what is going on in the United States. I'm not really focused on posting. It's not important enough. What I'm trying to, you know, all I have to do is try and use my platform as a positive way to influence people to do the right thing and make the right choice. That's all I'm concerned about right now. Yes, do I have 4 tracks that are supposed to come out this month that I've been waiting for 8 months? Yeah, but it's not important right now. And so what I'm doing is just focusing on my music. I'm trying to write as much quality music and get as many quality ideas down in this time before things start to hopefully continue back to a normal lifestyle as possible. And that wouldn't really fall in my short-term goals, but would maybe be in my long-term goals. But now it seems like the only thing that's right to do to focus on. And you know, my short-term goals is like, I have a new merch line coming out, super cool. I wanted these collabs done. They're done. And I've been able to cross off so many things that would normally be in a 6-month term in like a 2-month term, because it's all I'm doing. It's all I have to focus on. That's literally why I got a puppy, because I was obsessed with working and I was like, I need balance. I need something to do. So now I have a sweet little puppy. My boyfriend and I have her, and she's been so great. She stopped me from obsessing over the little things and just, you know, you're done with the song, you're done with the song. Send it off. You're done. And I think every producer has that thing where they're never completely happy with the track. There's always one little thing that could be changed, but it's, you know, it's kind of about turnaround time. And all right, you've spent from the beginning of quarantine, if not before then, writing the songs for the EP. You've obsessed over them for 2.5 months. You're done. You put them in the folder, you send them off. And I think that's something that I've been getting better at, and I've been focusing a lot mentally on how I approach things and how I look at things maybe in a negative light when I should be looking at them in a positive light, and like taking those things into consideration and having those like mental breakthroughs that if I was focused on modern day life and doing this and doing that and having my daily routine and schedule, I would never take the time to sit down and think about. So that's what I've been doing. And those are kind of all my goals are like being reached, which is really cool because that usually doesn't happen to me. And now it's just keeping the consistency up and making sure we're staying on track, and it's only a matter of time. So
now, I guess, what would be your advice to our listeners or viewers here in Australia that, maybe be thinking about doing what you do now with obviously your DJing and your music producing?
Okay, so first I would say focus on production 100%. If you want to mess around with DJing, that's really cool, but you're going to come to a point in your career, no matter if you're a female or male, however far you get, if you eventually don't have a discography or music out, it's going to be very, very hard to get to the level you want to get to. If it's a hobby and you have your job and your career and, whatever, cool. If you are somebody who really, 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 really wants to do this, but they don't know how to start, I would say music theory. I would say get Ableton, get the things that you need. You need Serum, you need something to design sounds with. Get a subscription to Splice, $10 a month. Subscription to Serum, $10 a month. You can save up, buy Ableton, FL Studio, Logic. There's all these other DAWs to produce in as well. And I have learned so much stuff online. There are amazing like societies like the Defyre Society. It's DEFYRE. I don't know. But great societies where you have these artists come in and do master classes, or YouTube or this or that. And, you might have to search, but it's all in your own willpower. And then the other side of that is this is not something that you can expect to learn overnight. It's something that I've had a hard time because everybody, okay, so they want it then and they want it now. And this is not something that you get then and you get now. It takes time, and it's even if it's a half an hour a day, every day you got to think about it. Every day. Like every day you have to just watch a video, do something. I used to listen to podcasts from audio engineers or sound designer. There's so many great basic introductory videos to this craft and to this field that there's no reason that if you didn't really want to do it, you couldn't do it, and I think it's all then in willpower, like how much do you want it? And then once you get past that, I would recommend like write 3 or 4 songs, experiment, see what genres you like. You might think you want to be a dubstep artist, but you start writing house music and you're like, wow, this is great. I love this. Like just because you like this style of music doesn't mean it's right for you to make that style of music. And then, potentially reach out to some artists that you're inspired by. Don't go reaching out to Skrillex. Reach out to a smaller artist and say, hey man, what's your advice? What's this? I get those messages all the time, and you'd be surprised how many artists actually do respond. Of course, you're not going to get responses from everybody. I remember looking up people in their SoundCloud bios and emailing them and saying, hey man, what do you suggest? Or like, hey, here's a song I wrote. Do you have notes? And you'd be surprised. People actually do take the time out of their day to do it. Or they'll respond to you and they'll say, hey, I give lessons for $40 an hour. I give lessons for $50 an hour. It's kind of like your health. Like you need to invest in what you want to do. You need to invest into the life and the career that you want to have. So all of those things are important. And after you've kind of experimented around and found yourself a little bit, then is the time to, get into, all right, what do I want my brand to be? What is going to define me from other people? And I see those two separations, the whole brand and making music, go in the wrong order. People like, oh, I want this image and I want this and I want that and I want this, but they have no idea what their music's going to sound like, and they have no idea, what they're going to do. And at the end of the day, we're artists. We're not influencers. If you want to have a brand and you want to have a message and you don't want to do this, that's fine. Be an influencer. It's a huge thing in the whole world. Like there's a space for you if you want to create one, but the basis of everything of what we're doing is music. So if you don't have a clear way of how to communicate your music and how to make music, you're eventually going to fall behind. And you'd be surprised with how many like social media sources we have today. Twitter, TikTok is one thing that I've seen just people blow up overnight. If you get something that's trending, you're going to get millions of views, and not saying millions of followers, but you have all of a sudden this outlet that you've got all these strangers looking at what you're doing. So to say that it's unrealistic that you might come across the point where you're suddenly in front of a bunch of people that could be checking out your music, you want to be prepared for that. You want to have your links ready. You want to have your website ready. You want to have your merch ready so that people are, ready to invest in you and invest in the artist that they believe in. And if you don't have a clear vision of that, which I didn't, which is why I'm saying that now, when you start, you might backtrack a little bit. And it's important to have all of those things in mind when you're pursuing this as a career.
Now, of course, I've got to finish off with a couple of lighthearted questions as well, which is any embarrassing moments for you?
Oh, yeah. Okay. So on New Year's Eve, 2018 to 2019, I fell in between the stage. I literally can probably find the video and send it over to you. I walked up, like balloons were everywhere. I played the set right before the ball dropped. It was before Bonnie and Clyde. And I played Mac Miller into the ball drop. I had this crazy edit prepared. Like it was like a 6 or 7 minute segment that I had all planned out. I remember I had my laptop open underneath the DJ deck so I could see the countdown, so I could press play at the right time. And it was like everything was perfect. I got a champagne bottle, the ball dropped, and then I ran out and I went to step on the monitors that were in front of the stage. And there's this huge foot gap in between the monitors and the stage. And my right leg goes all the way down the gap and gets stuck. Like literally. And like the gap was like honestly small. So I don't know how I fell, but my leg got stuck in between the gap. And thankfully there were balloons around and everything, but there were so many photographers and stuff. So people got pictures of it. And someone got a video of it somewhere, but I had so much adrenaline from falling. Somebody picked me up. I was fine. I went behind. I still had like 50 minutes left in my set. I played my set. The next morning I woke up and I had a bruise from my knee all the way up to like pretty much my chest area, and my hip was fractured. And it was so embarrassing, but like I don't know, it's kind of sad. It's kind of embarrassing, but I will never forget it. That was definitely my most embarrassing point. I think another embarrassing moment, I don't know, that just like tops everything. It tops everything. I've done the thing where I've like called the city the wrong city. And like I've literally gone to so few cities that it's so embarrassing. But being a resident, I'm so like accustomed to being like, Tampa, how are you? And I think I was in like Buffalo, New York. Like I was somewhere that was so like they didn't even know what Tampa was. And then I had like somebody who had come to see me in Manhattan, and they were like, great. And they sent me a video and they were like, so we're Tampa now, huh? And I was like, yeah, I guess, I don't know. And like, I didn't post about it. And then I had so many people message me that I was like, sorry, I messed up your city. I'm sorry. And then that was it. But like, those are the two moments I can remember that like prominently stuck out. I'm sure I've had other embarrassing moments. Like I've like gone to be cool and take a drink and I've like spilled it down my whole shirt and like stuff like that. But it is what it is. At the end of the day, it's like, as long as like, thankfully, like I've never, knock on wood, thankfully I've never had like my USB get corrupted in a set or like something like tragic like I've heard other people. Like I remember I was at a Chris Lorenzo show, and like the house shows, everybody wants to be on stage and all that stuff. And it's way different than bass shows. So we were all standing behind Chris Lorenzo, and like he goes to plug in his USB and it's like not loading. It's like not loading at all. And he turns to the talent buyer and he was like, I literally don't have a USB. Like, I don't have a backup USB. Like, that was my only USB. And then one of the local artists came up and gave him his USB, and he played his whole set. He's like, dude, I have a few of your songs on here. And he gave him his USB, and he played his whole set off this local's USB. So, like, I'm really glad that I haven't had a moment like that. I'm sure one day I will. That's why I bring, like, people laugh at me. I literally have a bag of, like, 10 USBs and 3, like, quarter-inch adapters because I'm so nervous for stuff like that to happen. But yeah, I've been fairly lucky. Like, I haven't missed a flight. I've been nervous that, like, I had flights delayed where I've had to go, like, right from the airport to the venue. But that gives me, like, a heart attack. But besides that, everything else is good.
I love how you mess up at City.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Obviously, for anyone out there, Buffalo's north of the country.
Yeah, right? It's like, how do you even confuse the two? So now, like, every time, like, I've written it on my phone, and I've had my phone sitting on the mixer, something like that. Because you make a mistake, and then you're like, I'm never going to do this again. I'm never going to do it again. And then you don't.
Oh, love it. Now, obviously being a DJ or and a music artist or producer, was there any point, you just went at any time, like, I'm playing this song, but then I forgot what the song's about or what the lyrics in the song?
Oh yeah. The Panic at the Disco songs, I think it's like Sins Don't Write Tragedies. It's like something where, oh my gosh, I'm trying to remember the melody, but pretty much I played it and I made a really cool edit out of it. And I took down the volume at the wrong time that, like, everybody knows the words. It's like, your mom is a whore or something. I don't know. And then it, like, comes in and everybody's like, something ever heard of closing the goddamn door? No, take these times, personality or something. And then, so I took down the volume at the wrong time and it was just silent. It was silent. And I was just like, and then, like, I actually have it in the edit where it takes out the word because everybody knows it. And it's kind of like Thanks for the Memories by Fall Out Boy. Like, everybody knows the words. And so then there were 2 empty spots in the song, and where I pulled down the mixer for everybody to say the word was like 2 or 3 seconds before the word actually came. So it was like empty spot, 2 words, empty spot. And it was such a long pause, and I was just like, oh my God. I remember just turning around and looking at the LED screen and being like, yeah. And then, yeah, so I've definitely done that. Thankfully, I kind of set for the most part, I set my sets up in Rekordbox, so I have cues and stuff, so it's never like I forget what song's next. Like, I have my playlist with my sets ready and stuff. But I've done things where, like, in songs that I've been singing, I've forgotten the words. Like I have a song with Swarm called Sleep Forever, and I, like, sang the wrong words on the pre-drop one time, and then all of a sudden my lips just stopped moving, and I was like, great. And so I've definitely done those things, but thankfully they're not, like, hugely noticeable because I'm very, like, I'm a self-critic, and I think everybody is. So I'll do very minuscule things and mess up, but, like, nobody out there really realizes it. You realize it because you've done the set 1,000 times, and you're like, damn, that did not go well. So, but most of the time, people are out there, like, already so, like, messed up, or they're just, like, in it with their friends or whatever, so they don't care. But yeah.
Now, of course, I'll finish up with this one last one, which is one that should follow you on social media and obviously through the music side of channels. How can I go about it?
Okay, so everything is This Is Lizzy Jane. So literally, like, SoundCloud, This Is Lizzy Jane. The only Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, everything at This Is Lizzy Jane. And then, like, if you go on my Instagram, there's, like, a link tree, which is kind of like a hot link to all my social media, so you can kind of pick and choose. The only thing is with Spotify, you can't customize links, so you just got to look up Lizzy Jane, but there isn't another one of me, so hopefully I'll come up. But yeah, no, so it's all at This Is Lizzy Jane, and I should be, like, the top person to come up.
Well, Lizzy, thank you so much for getting off your time to join us. It's awesome to finally interview a music DJ over there in the US.
Yes, thank you so much. You were so yes, that's so awesome. No, thank you. Anytime. And hopefully we'll be able to do, like, an interview like 2 years from now and be like, oh, like, this is what you've done in the 2 years. Granted that we go back to normal, hopefully. But yeah, no, thank you very much for having me. And I hope to one day come over your way and then we can, like, hang out in person.
Absolutely. And that's Lizzy Jane there, of course, coming to us from Tampa. Of course, you can follow her social media and, of course, the music channels. We'll post all that up on our social media ourselves. So make sure you follow her, of course, and see her next couple performances coming up. There's more on the Smash Evening Show right after this. Don't go away.